What's going on, everyone? Goddrifter and happy, let's see, good God, it's Friday. And welcome back to another one of your favorite podcasts in need, known as the Goddrifter Podcast. So, I, without mind, wanted to tell you that Long Gun Fury, Prologue Part 2 is almost done. I just needed a lot more dialogue as well as the transitions, and then it should be on right about, I would say, Saturday. Uh, so most likely today's topics is what we need in the Need for Speed game, not what we want. Keep in mind, because a lot of people want these things, and they didn't. And it's not what we want; it's what we need. Because obviously, since Need for Speed Heat, without doubt, destroyed 2015, it also destroyed Payback in terms of quality and quantity. But due to the fact that a lot of people go back to those games because of speed lists, then I don't know what to tell you. So most likely I'm going down based off of categories. So it's going to be 7 categories. Let's see, 7 to 8 categories. And then the next one will probably be a bonus or miscellaneous. So these topics are location, cars, customization. Let me turn on my car, not turn on my car, turn on my audio a little bit. Okay, there we go. So it's cars, location, customization. Wait, no, it's location, cars, customization, story, story, police, what else is there? I'm forgetting 2 more. Wait, no, never mind. It's not 2 more. I know one of them is end game and replay value. So, and the bonus one is probably the miscellaneous part. So, there's that. So, in terms of locations on what I want the next Need for Speed take place, I can think of 3 locations, and well, not 3, 4. One of them is San Francisco. The reason is because, well, unlike New Zealand 2015, which takes place in Southern California, if you go in Northern California, it is a different vibe entirely. So, more or less, it's kind of like this. A lot of people like 2015's location because it's based off of Los Angeles. And then you got Las Vegas, and then you got Heat, which takes place in a fictional city in Miami. Now, if it took place in San Francisco, then not only that it will be an interesting take on the street racing perspective, it's also going to be taking a look at what the northern side of California is capable of. Up next is Seattle. Now, you're wondering, why Seattle? Well, here's the thing. Why California? Well, basically, Seattle's kind of like our Virginia in the Western Hemisphere. when it comes to car qualities, and not to mention their style of car taste is a lot or almost different from our typical uh, custom cars, lowriders, supercars, and heck, even tuners. Uh, Alright, so the third city I'm thinking is, uh, Jesus, um, the next city what I'm thinking is either New York or Detroit, and the reason is because obviously, uh, because New York will be an interesting take on this street racing prospect, and then you have what's that called? And then you have what's that called? And then you have Detroit, which, well, as you guys do not know, is the birthplace of the automobile, and not to mention it'll be an interesting take because, if I remember correctly, a spin-off to a Need for Speed game known as Motor City Online took place in Detroit. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting Detroit as the next city for a Need for Speed game. And then the last city I'm thinking is somewhere in Japan. Now, I'm not talking just Tokyo. I'm talking Kyoto, Chiba, Osaka, Naniwa. Anywhere in Japan will do. And why I say that is because a lot of people keep asking for Tokyo. Like, what most people didn't know is the fact that not only takes a lot, and not even a lot of work to have somewhere close to Japan, but you have to keep in mind that not all the things that are in Japan are gonna be over there. So literally, just take this with a grain of salt. And more than likely, it can be an interesting trip down memory lane. Now, I know you're thinking, okay, what about, I know you're thinking, okay, why, if not Tokyo, then why you say somewhere in Japan? Excuse me, because Tokyo is not the only place that's in Japan, guys, come on. In fact, here's my take, and the reason why people want Tokyo. It's because they watched Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. They have played Tokyo Stream Racer. Anything that involves Tokyo is probably in here. It's like, yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense than I thought it was. And heck, they even play Gran Turismo and went to the Tokyo Expressways every now and then. But there are other car cultures that are in Japan. For example, you got Shiba's car culture, which usually is for European cars. Well, it's a mix between American, European, and Japanese cars. You got Kyoto, which is Kyoto. You got Nagoya, which is literally home to the dawn racing. Like, you literally race until dawn. you have Osaka, which people start racing at dusk, which is probably one of the better ways to actually get yourself to night racing in the first place. And not to mention, they have a lot of foreign cars in Japan, so guys, make sure that you know that Tokyo's not the only with a car culture. Now you know there's gonna be that one guy in comments, but he started drifting though. Really? Is that what you think? Here's the thing, Taylor didn't start drifting. Japan started the drifting scene in around the 1990s. So yeah, you're not the only one. Anyway. Let's talk about the cars. Now, although Need for Speed Heat's car list is impressive, there's one thing I have to take out, and that is the constant amount of copy and paste cars that just to be considered a new vehicle. For example, you got 3 variants of the 911 Carrera 4S, you got 2 variants on the McLaren P1, you got 2 variants of the Ferrari LaFerrari, many adaptations of the Nissan 370. You got the constant amount of Lambos, aka the regular, the performance variant, the convertible variant, and the convertible performance variant. So yeah. Also, is it going to have convertibles in your own racing game? Make sure that those are nothing but conversions. Like, most of us don't want to spend a lot of money on the same car with a lower PI. So, and not to mention, add some common cars that are that have not been in the video game for a while. For example, you can have a Civic Si from 2017, or you can add the Honda Accord Coupe from 2014 or 2012, depending on which one you're going for. Add more exotics even. Like, for example, you can add the Jesko, or heck, you can even add something along the lines of probably a new vehicle that's supposed to be in this game, in the other game in the first place. Heck, you can add the new Supra or the 2020 Corvette. Now, there are some things that you have to consider. The rights to these vehicles. Now as of late, what's that called? As of late, Toyota is pretty picky when it comes to what games deserves their cars. I mean, think about it. Like, a lot of people didn't know that New 2015 was the last time we ever had a Toyota in any racing game, period, or any Need for Speed game in general. And just hoping that a lot of things doesn't happen to Toyota, because they probably should get their act together. And as mentioned, they should, in the emphasis on the word should, should be able to give us the cars that we need in the new Need for Speed game. Now, I'm not just talking about the Toyotas, you super fanboys. I'm also talking about the the Yaris. Yaris, the what's it called in the world? What was I saying? Oh yeah. Um. Jeez, I'm forgetting something. Oh, now I remember. Um. They should add things like the R33, like what else? I will have a car that should. Okay. Like add, and heck, you can even add more legendary cars. Like for example, like you can add the you can add a 70s Challenger or like a 70s Camaro. Or heck, you can even add fan favorites like the like example, like the R33 has been missing in action. There's also been the like the older Evos have been missing in action for a while. And heck, you can say that heck, you can even say that the McLaren, the Ferrari F430 has been missing in action as well as the 360. But that is just my that's just my speculation. So you're wondering how many cars do I want in the next DC game? If it's possible, then around. I know it's gonna sound ridiculous, but I'm thinking around 217 cars at best. And now there's a very good reason why I say that specific number, and that is because most people wanted a most people, they want a varied car list. Oh, and not to mention we need sorry, there's one thing we need for sure, and that is to have a sorting system where, like for example, we can type in the brand of the car, and then we can actually just look there. But sometimes it can be possible that the cars may be locked, and that's what I like about Need for Speed Heat, and that is those cars are locked by level. So
when are you gonna get your own place?
Don't listen to him.
What was I saying? In terms of why many people wanted such and such, like for example, and I mean a lot of people wanted the Toyota Supra, and that is because it's the fan favorite. But here's the thing, not all fan favorites, not everybody likes Toyota Supras. Like, they're probably more of a Skyline fan than a Supra fan. Or it's other way around, where it's like, a lot of people like Supras more than Skyline. And it's like, okay, well, it sounds like, okay, I do like Subarus, but I'm not a fan of Mitsubishi. Or, I like Mitsubishis, I'm just not a fan of Subarus. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like, don't try to please everybody with what's that called? Like there's no such thing. There's no such thing as the perfect game. Like, you're gonna have some hiccups every now and then. Especially when it comes to especially if you're trying to get licensing for those specific cars. I mean, seriously, when is the last time we ever a seen a brand where seen a brand uh, turn down any racing game that they wanted to add their cars to? So yeah, you can say that a lot of things had to happen in order to get those cars to work. Uh, Not to mention these cars also, not to mention these brands also also needs to realize that they putting their cars in their putting when the manufacturer is putting their cars in your game. Um, but many people didn't realize it's like, wait, what happened to the Super? Why is the Super in games? Like, it's because of the licensing issues. That's the reason why most people prefer uh anything along the lines of what's that called? That's why many people prefer like, if I remember correctly, a lot of people prefer like Gran Turismo or Forza because they don't have licensing issues, and not to mention, oh my god, the 2 Super is there, and guess what? And you wondering what happened to the Supra when it was released in Forza Horizon 4? A lot of people played with it for like a week, and guess what? It just died, like out of nowhere. So most likely, keep giving your please. All you have to do is make sure that those cars don't die out, and make sure that you can discover more things on the car than you can actually account it for. The trucks in the Need for Speed game, they're not bad. They just need more research on what cars need to on the other cars that needs to be in their own racing game. So for example, you can say that, oh, what about the Chevrolet Silverado, or like a Ford F-150, or like a Dodge Ram 1500? Like there aren't any bad choices. It's just that, like, the Raptor, they could have used the 2010 model instead of the 2016 model, and it's the same thing with the Colorado. The Colorado uses a V6 instead of a V8, and it's what, even though it's more reliable, it's just the fact that we could have gone a Silverado to go up against an F-150 instead of a Colorado to go up with that 150 Raptor. Same thing with the SUVs. They only have European SUVs for God knows what reason. Like, there's literally Cadillacs, Chevys, GMCs, Lincolns, heck, even Dodge or Jeep can be in that car list. So, in terms of my speculations, it would have been all the cars that are from the previous Need for Speed games, plus some new additions like the Civic Type R from 2018, or what's that called? What was I saying? Oh, yeah. For example, like the newer Type R, and by newer I meant the 2018 Type R. Type R, like, come on now. And not to mention, everybody knows they don't like the 2015 variant. So why keep giving us the 2015 variant? Like, there's literally the 2018 model, which is twice it's not wait, actually it's even twice as good. And most likely, whatever we do, developers of the next ESP game, do not give us copies. Like, that's all you have to do. Do not give us copies of the same car. Like, no joke, Need for Speed 2015 and Need for Speed Heat is guilty in that case. And I was thinking, what? Well, like, wait, why are they guilty in that case? Like, well, here's the thing. When it comes to making the next ESP game, they try to add, or they try to try to please the newer audience to the new Need for Speed games, and it's like, oh, they got convertibles, that's awesome, and it's like, okay, there's also the coupe model, and then they look and it's like, okay, there's a target model. Wait, what? It's like, yeah, apparently they're guilty of repeating cars in their own game. And trust me, Need for Speed is not the only one. Gran Turismo is also guilty of this. Due to the fact that there are many variants of the, if I remember correctly, there were so many variants of the of the Nissan Skyline, to the point where it's like, okay, he's a Nissan Skyline, he's a Nissan Skyline, you're a Nissan Skyline, I'm a Nissan Skyline. Are there any Nissan Skylines everywhere? Ay, ay. So yeah, is a in terms of the how many cars that I need to see in the next ESP game, probably more than 200. Why? Because a lot of people is gonna be like, man, there aren't enough cars in the game, and it's like, oh, don't worry, it's like, oh, don't worry. It's like, okay, here's the thing. Would you rather have a small number of cars in a giant city, or do you want a small city but with a lot of cars? And trust me, if you know Forza Horizon 3 and 4, you will know that there are many, and I mean many, cars to consider for that list. But that's literally just my own opinion. The reason why most people don't know why Newsweek keeps on like having more than 100 cars is because literally the largest car list in the second era was around at least 80, like around 80 cars, and that includes DLC as well. So there's that. Also, there are other things to consider, like for example, if I know anything better, and I should, there are these things called obviously licensing, and not to mention now here's the thing. A lot of some brands don't want their cars to be associated with police, so that's the reason why there's a reason why not all of the vehicles are in a Need for Speed game. In Toyota's case, it's because most people don't respect Toyota anymore because they wanted the older Toyota cars. While at the same time, that's not true. A lot of people wanted the Yaris. A lot of people wanted the new Supra. Heck, even a lot of people wanted a new Tundra in the racing game, and they got one in Gran Turismo. So, Toyota, please just get out of the okay, it's like, okay, Toyota, please get out of the cave of yours and give us some cars already. Alright, up next, I want to talk about is the customization. Oh, wait, no, actually, wait, no. There's one more vehicle that I need to consider, and that is Mazda. Now, Mazda has given us three cars for the past Need for Speed games, for the past games now. So, I'm thinking like, if they give us more than five, then it's probably gonna be perfect. Like for example, like other than the ND and A Miata and the Mazda RX-7 FD, uh, excuse me, I'm thinking that I can add the FC, the RX-8, the Mazda Speed 3, um, Mazda Speed 3, Mazda Speed 6, the newer Mazda 3, and last but certainly not least, the NB Miata. So, literally, if you add them all together, it's like, okay, it got 9 Mazdas. So that way it'll be diverse. Um, well, not wait. Actually, there is one more category. I'll talk about that before the next topic. Um, the next one I want to talk about is the Let me take a drink of my shake real quick. Okay, there I go. Um, Up next is customization. Now, like cars, the car customization is is uh is a is is a thing in a Need for Speed game. Like if it's a Need for Speed game that does like customization, then you're looking at Criterion. You see look if you see modern customizations on newer cars nowadays, then that's like Ghost Games. If you see fictional bike kits with no functionality and aerodynamic whatsoever, but it's an iconic favorite, then you look at Black Box. So whether it be Stellar or Criterion, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be like, oh, okay, how much customization do you want on their cars? And if someone says a lot, they're gonna get a lot. But here's what I want. No, this is what I want to say. Um, and it is gonna hard. It's gonna break you guys' heart, but some of these companies are not around anymore. Those, those Bomex's bike kits, those the VIS, those Velsides,
No matter how bad it gets out there, at least we ain't gotta worry about Mercer no more.
what else? The Jeez, I'm forgetting about another car. Not car. A um car company that makes bike kits. Some of those brands are not around anymore. Like for example, Bomex is not around anymore. Blitz, depending on if you look at the wheels and look at the bike kit. If you talking about bike kit, they don't make bike kits anymore. They make wheels now. Um, and even heck Heck, Craig Lieberman, the technical advisor of the Fast and the Furious movies, uh, said that not all parts um, are going to be viable to the fact that they discontinued long ago. So that means that if you're hoping to recreate some of your favorite movie cars, then you might want to consider getting this with a grain of salt. Now the brands, I say there's two reasons why most brands won't use won't let you use your product use their product in your racing game. Is one of two things: either A, they discontinued, or B, uh, they already signed up with another company and you can't use their wheels. And heck, I know how that feels. It hurts. But mostly, um, mostly can anything can be beneficial um, when it comes to vehicles like that. Like for example, my 180SX has origin parts, but excuse me, but but the rear bumper I had is from Spirit Ray. So yeah, they're not all bad. It's just it depends on what brand it's from. And heck, even wheels fall for this same exact thing. Like for example, 3SDM first ever time to be in a race game is CSR2, when yet when when one of the when the first tier 3 car that you faced was an M4, and you get a BMW M4 with some 3SDM wheels. So it's like, okay, it's not bad, but it could have been beneficial. And heck, like I said, here's another example. Ferrari, even though Ferrari lets us use custom wheels and not custom tires, even they let us use their custom wings and custom uh, wheels, they don't allow us to use custom bike kits or vice versa. So I'm thinking, okay, so what do they suggest they do? Look at what's I see. I'm not trying to say look at what's trending and just go from there. No, I'm saying that they should have they should know what bike is they want to add to the games, because believe it or not, a lot of people want a Veil site so they can create Han's car for Fast and Furious. Well, that's cool, but you have to consider that there are other bikes than just Veilside. Like there's Varus, there's Voltex, there's Rocket Bunny, Liberty Walk, Rodwell Begriff, and even some old school ones like Spirit Ray, Origin Labs, and BN Sports. Started on and don't get me started on the oh we want it more what parts should be added. Um well, like what people keep saying like, oh, I want this, like, oh, I want this thing in the game. It's like, okay, do you mean what you need? Because oh, and there is another thing I want to talk about, and that is the aerodynamics in when implying a bike kit for your car. It's
You having
not
fun
bad.
out there with the lead?
It's just is that, like many people, it's always like, oh, don't worry, it should be fine. Can't help, it can't hurt to look at what cars that you want to bring out. Yeah, cause that totally makes sense. Um, but here's the thing: a lot of people keep doing this wrong, and that is look at your audience. What type of cars do you think your audience are gonna like? Because it's gonna be one thing or another, and it's like, oh, don't worry, your game is safe with us. It's like, you sure? Like, are you completely sure? Um, so yeah. In terms of how many customization options are gonna be there, I say a lot. And let's talk about the elephant in the room: interior customization. Uh, yeah, you wondering why people keep on saying, "Oh, we want interior customization," and they never receive it? It's it's because it takes a lot longer to implement someone getting to the car, and then you just driving around. All right, let me just park somewhere real quick, and okay, this is the wheel. All right. Okay, let's go to effects, and then hmm. Usually there's like hmm. They don't even they don't even turn realistically, but it's not bad. Now, well, many people didn't realize it's the fact that um, that it actually takes a moment to actually get into the car and then just driving first person. And you wondering why they now you wondering why they don't have that in any racing game except for the shit games? It's quite simple. It's an arcade racer, people. And before you guys said it, oh, well, what about the crew? What was good? The crew has first person. Well, here's the thing. That game is a simcade. It's not really an arcade, but it's not a simulation either. So that will remotely be impossible. And when I said it, oh, well, Midnight Club has first person. Well, that's from a different game. Okay. It's not a game. Yeah, even though it's an arcade racer, yes. But this was the first time ever putting a newer. This was putting a new camera, which they had a new camera, so it's literally action, close, far, for driver's view, and last but not least, bumper cam. So it would have been 5 instead of the typical close, far, action, bumper, and hood cams. Now you're wondering, okay, you're thinking, okay, what test it on it? It's like, well, that is also a simulcade. Well, it's an arcade, but it has a feeling of a simulation game. So, without a doubt, first person is clearly impossible. And not to mention, you're wondering how many people say that it's weird going to first person and third person. Mostly 40% of people do, but it's not bad. Let's see. Up next, we talked about cards, talked about locations, talked about customization. Actually, oh no, remember characters. So the characters are just as important as the cars. If your favorite character is not, well, if you know, finding out that it's like, oh my goodness, this is my favorite character in a modern racing game, then you will play it because of that specific character.
Hey, park it up. Take a load off.
See what else is there, but many things can happen in for a character to be it's like you can either what it could like it's like okay, it's one of two things. You might not like the character but you like the story, or you don't like the story but you like the character. But there are some there are some games that do this correctly, and Need for Speed from time to time had done this before. Like for example, I am creating a series called Long Gun Theory. Now, the reason why they wanted, okay, why are you comparing Need for Speed to your new series? Like, well, it's because, well, here's the thing: the characters are what the characters drive, and their personality. So, like for example, with Hinawari is shy but is timid. Sean is a noob in terms of the street racing scene. Ryotaro is more or less Ryotaro is synthetic, but he's more aesthetic but mature. And then you got Liz, who is probably my most vulgar character ever created in my own series. Like, no joke, she curses like a sailor. And like, oh my goodness, why does this character have a really bad language? It's like, because Liz is old school like that. It's like, okay, yeah, she's vulgar, but she's old school. So, yeah, more or less, oh yeah, but So yeah, yeah, there are some character traits that most people might avoid, and that is the fact that a lot of people want to avoid the rich guy, the valley girl, the uh, what I call it, the rat. That's basically or basically the guy that snitches on the racers. So it's like, well, you sold us out or what? It's like, I'm like, man, I'm not trying to get myself involved in this mess. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me. Well then. Yeah, if not, so yeah, if characters are just as important, then why do you bother using a character, using young characters? Well, this is what I want to talk about. In terms of characters in game, or any video game period, there is a thing called creating characters. Now here's the thing. I'm not talking about creating a main character. I'm talking about creating your own character, as in like creating a fictional character while the character interacts with the other characters in that story. So you can say like, okay, it's more of your own character with its own vehicle. What's that called? Uh, so yeah,
Man, the cops are out for blood today, am I right? Taurus must be even more of a hard ass than Mercer.
but do not fret. These type of things usually happen. But you might want to take this with a grain of salt. Like for the most part, I should have said this earlier. It's like, okay, you might want to take this with a grain of salt because not all these things can be possible. Um, but yeah, it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. It's interesting, but more or less, it can work. You just need to know what to do and make sure that you get these things done. Um, so, what are you thinking? Well, what about the villain and the antagonist? Well, here's the thing. We need both. Well, not both at the same time, but we need more than one opposing person. Like, you got an antagonist, that's cool. You got a villain, that's cool. You got the villain and the antagonist, that just goes wrong. And not to mention, Need to Be Payback is an example of this. You got Lena Navarro, who is literally both a villain and an antagonist. And what she's part of? She's part of the house. Like, no one doesn't want to face the reason why most people don't like Lena is because she is a villain Sue. Like, she is too perfect. And not to mention, she's one step ahead of her. One step of everyone. And in the end, it ends up biting her in the butt because obviously the cops are like, man, this is getting out of control. And it's like, go after Tyler. It's like, dude, it's like, my regardless is, man, we have a lot of races out of control. This is your problem, not ours. So it's like, well, you guys lost your cops. Not cops. Like, you lost your cops on your payroll. It's like, dude, you literally have power. Why do you use Lena in the first place? Oh goodness, this is too hilarious. But more or less, if I've learned anything, and which I did, it's the fact that not all things can work. Like literally, no one didn't realize that it's not gonna work out in terms of what these characters need, what these characters want. It was like, oh, okay, that's not bad. Now, what else would? Oh, what else would it be? Up next, up next is the um. See, up next is replay value. Now, actually, before I do anything else, I need to switch things up. Instead of quantity and quality, I want to talk about the sound because sound is mostly important in a racing game. Like here's the thing. Most people be like, the Skyline doesn't sound the same as the last game or any other game period. It's like, well, they have different sounds in terms of different cars. Like for example, take my Porsche Cayman for example. Okay, does it sound like a inline four, or actually, does it sound like a boxer with a turbo that sounds like it can make over 500 horsepower? Yes, it does. But it's not, well, it's almost accurate, but a lot of people want full on accurate type sounds. So, like, for example, um, okay, I'm going to use a moving example. The Nissan Skyline from Too Fast and Furious. And it's a good sounding car. But they used a lot of parts to learn how to um actually get the cars to sound like that. But the most important part about these most important about the sound is the fact that sounds in games are kind of like peanut butter jelly sandwich. While the peanut butter is the cars, the jelly is this car. Let's see, the jelly is the car's sounds, and then the bread um, is literally the game itself. But yeah, more importantly, it's kind of like,
Thinking of going for a drive later. So shout now if you want something.
what was I saying? Oh yeah, um, but lately a lot of things can happen in terms of what kind of car it was, um, or it's actually going. Oh, actually, um, let me pause on the sounds and let me go back to the customization. Engine swaps. It cannot be a actually. You want to increase the power or the capabilities of your car? Engine swap it. That usually how it kind of works. But then again, um, these type of things are dime a dozen. So yeah. Um, so yeah, it's kind of important to the fact that not only that you end up having more freedom of your car to customize than any other, you have a chance to actually gain those gain those things and um, have them being prepared to go into the next track day. All right, now let's go back to the sounds. So yeah, so the sound of any car can be different depending on what it is. If it is a Lamborghini, try to have a car sound like a monstrous V12 or V10, or if it's a yours, then try to sound like a V like a monster sounding V8. Um, is it a Civic? Try If it's a Civic, try to make the car sound like it just got tuned from Spoon or Mugen. Or you can go, or like if they added like an eBay exhaust and then it sounds terrible, you can actually have something like that too. But the thing is, you can do any way you want. You can do anything with the exhaust. Um, well, yeah, that's it for sounds. Yeah, that's kind of a short thing, but it kind of it kind of works out in the way I wanted to. Because next up is the multiplayer. Now, you're wondering, multiplayer? Yes, multiplayer. Now, a lot of people want to play with their friends, but they don't want to leave their friends out. So, what do I suggest? Um, I suggest three things. You can have. Wait, hold on a second. Um, what I'm thinking is, um, what's that called? I'm thinking that a lot of players that like playing with their friends, thinking like, oh, we should have like a like a private lobby. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool. That can do that. A lot of people want it to be competitive. They can do that too. Or they want to do a car meet, and it's like, okay, that's cool as well. So yeah, let's see. In terms of what I want going to categorize these, why is gonna be two things. Um, private lobbies and private lobbies, public lobbies, and a competitive lobby. So the competitive lobbies are gonna start off with um. So like any other Need for Speed game, than before, they can vote on what race they can do, but I did like how Need for Speed Payback does it, and that is um that the person in last place can get a chance to actually win in one of these races. So like for example, you can have a like for example, if a player loses in that specific race, the person in last place can actually choose on what race they should do next. Um so it's literally the last one the one that gets last can pick the next race. So like, okay, so literally the first race is usually random, and then um, and then after the first race, the player that finished last can have a chance to actually get first place if they pick their right track or the track that they practice on. Uh, and then in terms of the private lobbies, private or public lobbies, I'm suspecting there should be more than I would say. It's gonna make the game a lot more bigger than it is. Um, I'm thinking over. I'd say over. I'm thinking over at least. Oh my goodness. I'd say around 20. Let's say 34 people. Now I know that's gonna sound like a lot, but hey, it's 2021. Anything happened. Um, um, so yeah, um, that's about it. Well, let's see, dang, it's shorter than the sounds. Um, let's see. We done cars, location, customization, sounds, multiplayer. Um, okay, so have this short now from 9 to 7 because well not 9 to 7, 9 to 8 because I know like the last two is replay value and miscellaneous parts. So let's talk about the what's that called? Oh my goodness. Um, let's talk about the replay value. Um, Usually the reason why people keep playing a racing game like they do is because they need and something to do while they can level up and then keep on doing every single race in order to max out all their cars. Now keep in mind that these cars can actually be beneficial. And also, now I thought about it, Need for Speed hasn't done anything in order to give us what they want. Like Need for Speed 2015, um, if I remember correctly, let's see, yeah, Need for Speed 2015 um, gave us a thing for playing the game, and then it's like, okay, you can do a lot more things and be competitive against your peers, and then Need for Speed Payback, they um they give us the Bex Custom F132, Austin Martin Vulcan, and Regura to unlock. Um, we unlocked those three cars, but you have to wait. Also, the Bugatti Hora PC, but you have to buy them, which kind of sucks to the fact that oh yeah, you unlock those cars. It's just that you have to pay for them. Heat is a bit different. The fact um, that Heat has these side missions that you can do in order to unlock the rest of the car list. Like for example, the drifting story unlocks. Actually, you know what I thought, but the um, the cars they give you in terms of these side stories are legendary cars, except for one of them. I don't know why they added that variant of Need Payback's cars, but that should work out just fine. Um, all right, and then last but certainly not least, we got the miscellaneous stuff. So let's all right. Let me list the things that we may need. Better stance tuning. I'm sick and tired of having my car not slammed enough to the point where the car scrapes. Bags. Please, please Let us adjust the height of the bags. Max track width. Where are they? Where are they? um, let's see. The let's see. It's not just track width. Raking. Okay, so you want to rake your car? That's not bad. That's tire width. We need those. Tire tread. We also need those. Those customizable wheels. That can be. Actually, that's not a bad idea after all. Add that thing to the list. And last but certainly not least, um, do not add anything that seems annoying. For example, you got the horns, especially the horns are annoying. Um, let's see, backfire, the color of the backfire is not bad. I know that for sure. Um, but I just wish it was more. Well, I wish it was more worth it than anything else. Because if anything, those things are much more expensive than the parts themselves. So yeah, just make the parts cheaper, and then anybody can buy them at this point, except for the horns. Don't add the horns. Like, if you're going to add horns, just do not make them customizable horns. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic, and that is old school racing games. Now, if you guys do not know, I grew up playing racing games throughout my childhood, from from your very typical Need for Speed Undergrounds to your test drives to Midnight Club to even my favorite thing in the entire to heck even everything heck to even the things that is considered race games I still play. For example, Hot Wheels Velocity X, Midnight Club 3, um also played Test Drive Limited 2. I just don't like the online community. Not to mention I like the first one better. Um, what else is there? Um, also grew up with, oh my goodness. Although here's the thing, I thought it could get any worse than this, but I forgot I had Bet My Ride on the PS2. Oh man, that was terrible. And then many years later, it still gives me a bad taste in my mouth due to the fact that it's like, eesh, how can you make a game this bad? um, but the funny thing is that a lot of a lot of people will say that, oh yeah, Need for Speed Most Wanted is probably the best game in the entire franchise. I'm like, okay, I'll have to agree with you, but in my opinion, even though I like the bosses, I like Carbon's gameplay more than Most Wanted. And then it's like, but Carbon is just a nighttime version Most Wanted, so what is it? So what is it? It's like, are you sure about that? Are you completely sure that that's what you want to see? Okay, this is um. Now a lot of people, oh my god. But then again, a lot of people think like Underground 2 is the best game, and it's like yeah, I prefer Underground 1. Underground 2 is good, yes, but not all of them have not all of them are good. Like all of them had their own flags. For example, Need to Be Underground's Race 95 being the hardest thing in the entire series. Uh, even though M- even though NCLA fan told me that the third Salvo race in Midnight Club 2 is probably the hardest race because it's an unordered race. Then and trust me, I haven't experienced it yet because I only played Midnight Club 3 in LA. That's all I know when I played it as a child. Um, Underground 2 is the fact that they have too many things going on. Not too many things. They have too much things for customization. In fact, oh my goodness, it's gonna be embarrassing, but literally, while I was staying in the hotel for 2 weeks, the first day when I got there, I got the PS2, and then my dad got my TV, and then I plugged it, and then I ended up I ended up falling asleep when I was playing, when I was customizing one of my cars, and my dad's like, "Junior," I was like, "What? Yep." I was like, "You falling asleep?" I was like, "No, no, I'm good. I'm good." I'm like, "That's odd. I don't remember. I don't normally fall asleep on a game like this." But it turns out I did. I indeed fell asleep on playing HP Underground 2. And yeah, Most Wanted. I know Most Wanted has a flaw, and you probably saw it when probably would know that I think it was JRS Gaming that told me that the AI, the AI was super rubber banding, so that's like pretty much a game flaw. Um, see, Carbon had the least bosses. Like out of all the racing games that I know, Need for Speed Carbon had the that's the least amount of bosses to be in a racing game. Period. Like it's literally three bosses, and the five bosses literally the one on Silverton. So I'm like, it's not bad. Like it could have been worse. Like it could have been way worse. Yeah. Um, okay. Um, Now if I had to pick um what game I wanted remastered, it'll probably be like no joke, Tokyo Stream Racer 0, Tokyo Stream Racer 3, Juice 2 Nights, and last but certainly not least, let's see. There's one game I know that is I go like one hello, welcome to the live stream. Um well, it's not a live stream per se, it's kinda like a podcast. Um it's basically it's most likely random topics that I thought of. So like this time it's only two topics instead of three. Um, uh, yeah. Um, Anyways, you're just tuning into the second topic known as childhood games. Um, Not childhood games, old school racing games. Now here's the sad part. I didn't grow up with an Xbox, so literally like Forza and stuff, I haven't played that. The only time I played Forza was around when I was at Walmart with my brother. I ended up playing, I believe it was Forza 3, but it wasn't on the demo, and it was on the Xbox display. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But well, that and then my first ever taste in Forza Horizon was Forza Horizon 2, but it was a demo. So yeah, I never got around to getting an Xbox because I never tried it too. That makes sense. But well, here's the thing. I finally got my Xbox. I finally got an Xbox account, so that way I can play Forza Horizon 3 and Horizon 4 on PC. Hopefully nothing goes wrong in terms of playing those two specific games because um, yeah, most importantly, Forza had Forza. It was old school too. Like it literally came out in like the first game came out in 2005, which at that time, what's that called? Gran Turismo 4. Let's see. Yeah, Gran Turismo 4. Need for Speed, Most Wanted. Um, Midnight Club 3, and last but not least, my goodness, I'm forgetting another game. Um, shoot, what was it? And like News for Most Wanted, Juiced. Actually, the first Juiced game came out in 2005. But man, 2005 was literally the best year for racing games, in my opinion. Um, if I had to guess, I think like overall, any racing game can be good, but it depends on if the developers know what they're doing, or they have researched it and then try to implement that to the game. For example, Juiced has by far the most complicated racing system. It goes like this. It's a calendar system, and not to mention, it's probably one of the many things that make this game hard. For example, literally, um, in order to go into other races, you have to earn respect points, and these respect points um, has supposed to have you race cleanly and betting. But here's the thing: the game has a problem of rubber banding. Um, uh, let's see. Well, I like to. What's like? Here's what I like to call it. The one I like to call is known as the cheating handling system. So, or CHS. So basically, what it is the fact that the AI has a clean slate and their handling is too perfect. You're trying to follow their line, but you're wondering how in the world are they turning that sharp while I'm over here trying to follow the line and then slowing down the same time, but I'm turning to a wall while they're turning to the next corner. It's like that makes no sense. Like, what the heck is this mess? Um, and it's still a thing nowadays with Forza Horizon 4, due to the fact that the players are like, okay, that's not fair. How in the world is the AI better driving than I did? It's like that looks low. I was like, okay, that does make sense. Like, okay, I'm not joking when I say this, but when I was playing Juiced, when I was um I see this was right after I graduated from this is right before I graduated from high school. Um it was when I believe I was 11 when I played Juiced, and a racer known as Maria literally had an eval 6. Okay. And I followed her line, and keep in mind, my car was on par with hers, but she turned hers really heavily for an Evo, and then she makes the next corner like with no problem. I, on the other hand, had to slow down while she ended up speeding through the corner like it was nothing. And I was like, why? This is just, my goodness. Um, It is one game that I haven't tried yet. It's probably not Energy Rush Hour. It's LA Rush Hour. I've heard of it, and I've still yet to play it, because here's the thing: I was about to play it when I was in high school, but unfortunately, due to my older sister being like, "Oh, you can't have any more racing games," I was like, "Ugh, I need to experience this game. I need to." So So, you know what I ended up getting? I ended up getting Cody, Black Ops, and Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow the Hedgehog on the PS2, while Cody Black Ops on the PS3. Ended up buying a really good game and a really bad game at the same time, because not even one level of Shadow the Hedgehog, I've I reset my console, eject the disc, put it back in the case, and just put it somewhere. It's just like I didn't even bother looking at that game again. Um, 2006 was the turning point in like racing game history, because literally, police were cracking down on street racing to the point where literally a stock Honda Civic with nothing done to it was being pulled over due to the fact that the cops associated that car with street racing. So it's like, okay, so what they do in 2007? Well, they decided, they decided to like, you know what? Let's do a lot of track racing. I was like, okay, that's not bad. Like, track racing is kind of a thing nowadays. Um, what else is there? Um, and then what's it called? Yeah, that's crazy, indeed. Um, so I'm like, man, I can't believe they actually. The reason why we didn't get a free roaming Need for Speed games because of what's happening in real life. So it's like, it's like, okay, 2007, what do they do? They have us racing in tracks, which is probably the best thing to do when. But most people are like, man, the game sucks. Doesn't have free roam. I was like, dude, are you deaf? You wondering why they haven't done any free roam racing games in a while? It's because literally one game has you racing on a track instead of racing in the streets. Um, Need for Speed Undercover was probably. I feel bad for Need for Speed Undercover. Like, no joke. Like, most people don't realize that the same engine was, yeah, the same exact engine that was on Need for Speed Pro Street was in Need for Speed Undercover. And yet the reason Need for Speed Undercover didn't do so well is because it's like, man, why is it not in nighttime? Why is it in daytime? It's like, well, Most Wanted was in daytime, and it did well. um, but I think it's because of the cops' AI and how heavy those cop cars are. Um, let's see. Um, and then, but here's the thing. At that time, Midnight Club was let's see, Rockstar North or Rockstar San Diego was working on a new Midnight Club game that would turn any race game up its head, aka Midnight Club Los Angeles. And I haven't played Midnight Club Los Angeles until I was like around 11. What the heck's that cop doing? I hope I'm not the one that saw that. They literally, a cop car ran to a tow truck and hit and run. Oh my god. Anyway, uh, what was I saying? Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I distracted you to the fact that a cop literally hit a tow truck and hit and run. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Midnight Club. Um, yeah, and it received pretty well, and then, but yeah, haven't played it I got until I got my first PlayStation card, and I ended up buying Midnight Club Los Angeles for the PS3 on digital, and it wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good. I ended up buying the complete edition, which at that time, um, what's that called? Um, which actually came with the DLC. And I was like, oh man, do I have to buy the DLC? You don't have to. The reason is because the game already came with DLC. And I was like, oh, that's sick. Okay, so I don't have to spend an extra couple bucks on on this game. I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, but the the part that actually kind of sucks is the fact that due to GameSpy's discontinuation, we haven't gotten any they stopped providing online. So I'm like, okay, so what's next? Um, but if I had to guess on what it's going to be, Middle Club is probably not gonna be on the PS5, and I say probably because like it wasn't available on PS4, but it was backwards compatible on Xbox, which I was like, okay, that's not bad. Like at least got uh half your fans back, but it's like okay, but what about us PlayStation boys? Where's our Midnight Club? um, yeah, it did pretty well, and then heck, it didn't even have an expansion known as well, it's kind of a term, but it's known as the South Central Pack, which came with extra cars. Um, the bottom part of the map is unlocked, and um, what else? They added new missions as well as a new tournament, and we also received new two more classes other than tuners, muscle, luxury, bikes, and exotics. We received lowriders and SUVs, and these SUVs are British. Keep in mind. And then the lowriders are General Motor cars. So I was like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Like, it makes sense. Okay, you got the 6-point Impala, usual, um, the heck? This is, um, usual lowrider. Then you got the 55 Bel Air, which also typical lowrider. You need to make all PlayStation games available on PS4 slash PS4 dash PS5. True. Like, although PlayStation Now makes sense, but it requires a fee, which here's the thing. I tried to use my PlayStation card in order to get PlayStation Now. Nope, it involves a credit card. I was like, I don't want to do that. This is like I really don't want to do that. Um, if I remember correctly, But here's the thing. For needs to be on the cover, I grew up with the PS2 and PS3 variant, and PS2 PS3 is kind of like Coke and Pepsi. Like the PS2 variant is Pepsi, while the PS3 variant is literally Coca-Cola. They're um they're different graphics and car list wise. Well, I didn't expect it to be like this advanced, but man. But yeah, but keep in mind that needs to be on the cover for the PS2 is kind of like a daytime needs to be carbon, while um needs to be on the cover of the PS3 is has parts from needs to be Pro Street. So even though that we have all these cool cars, um, the car list is a lot different from what it was. And yeah, that's probably the reason why a lot of people didn't like Undercover, because they bought the game in a wrong system, thinking like, oh, it's gonna be the same developer. Nope. Here's the thing: Black Box was the one behind the newer, the current, not current, well, it was 2 gens ago on the PS3 and Xbox 360, while needs to be on the cover for the PS2 variant is was worked on by a different entire studio. So more or less, it can work. It's just that many things has to consider, like what cars are gonna be in there, what city's gonna take place in. Now here's the confusing part. Of all the Need for Speed games that had cities based out of fictional cities, Undercover was very confusing, because you got on one hand the city was based one part of the city is based off of Los Angeles, the other part of the city is based off of Miami, one of them is based off of Atlanta, and then the other one based off of Detroit. So I'm like, okay, so which? Because we don't know. We don't know what the Tri-C. Excuse me. We don't know what Tri-C was based off of. And not to mention, of all the car games that I know, Undercover has the most promotional cars in the entire game. Like literally, the 350Z was there. The not 350Z, the 370Z was there. The I'm forgetting another car. This is um, dang it, I can't forget what it was. Wait, no, it wasn't Undercover. It was Pro Street that had the most what was it? What's another one? The newer IS model cars are there, and heck, even the new even that's interesting. There's too many cars again. Not again, of all things. Why? Um, let's see. Of all the cars that I wish were gonna be, I wish for the next series begin to have, it'll probably be the Lexus ISF, and it is for a very good reason, and that is because the ISF is considered the Japanese muscle four-door. That's how I would describe it. So yeah, the ISF 4-liter VA, 4 doors, sounds amazing, and it's rear-wheel drive. So I was like, okay, that's literally fun in one car. Like, that's not bad at all. Well, yeah, I think I have ending things here. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. We'll see you next. Also, follow me on Instagram at Goddrifter247sun YT, not YT. Um, okay, let me start that again. This is how you guys enjoy this podcast. Leave a like, subscribe, Comment down below what I see next. Also, follow me on Instagram at Goddrifter247sun and follow me on Twitter at GD247S at Goddrifter247sun. And I do have a Discord. It is known as Goddrifter247sun Productions Garage Museum. And last but not least, check out my new series known as One Gun Fury. Um, I'm still working on part two, and trust me, you probably will see the reason why it's taking me this long. And yeah, I guess that'll be it for now. Hope you guys enjoy your Friday, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.